Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be episode number 2 of the Championship Roundup. So over the course of this weekend, we have had a whole bunch of action taking place in the Championship, and we had so many games with loads of goals to go ahead and talk over. So of course, what I'm interested to know from you guys is, what did you make of your team's performance this weekend? Let me know about it in the comments down below, because like I said, it was a pretty jam-packed Championship weekend. So this video is actually going to be split into 2 parts. So the first half of the video is going to be my Championship roundup, talking over all the games that took place over the weekend, and then the second half of the video is going to be my midweek score predictions for all the games going on in the Championship. So, and just before we do get into anything, guys, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you guys did successfully manage to predict any of the scorelines this weekend, I will include your comment on screen now. So fair play to everyone who did correctly get a scoreline correct this week, because like I said, this one was a pretty hard one to predict, considering we had a whole bunch of goals being scored this weekend. But guys, without further ado, let's get into some of the action. So we start out with our first game to talk over, taking place between Barnsley and Ipswich Town. Now of course, Barnsley not getting off to the best start to the season, losing their first game away at Bristol City. In this game, for the first half, they really looked to turn a corner for this one, really. Tom Bradshaw gave them the lead after just 15 minutes, and after that, they just seemed to be relentlessly going in on Ipswich. Ipswich, though, were quite firm in holding their ground, and Barnsley really should have made it more than 1-0 going into half-time. But then, when half-time came, Mick McCarthy made the changes. He brought on both David McGoldrick and Martin Waghorn for his debut, and they completely changed this game. Both of them scored, Martin Waghorn getting his debut goal and getting the winner of this match in the 70th minute. So Mick McCarthy, he seems to have turned the corner with Ipswich at the moment. This has been a great start for them. Our next game took place between Birmingham City and Bristol City. So Bristol City, first of all, we have to talk about their main man at this point in time. That, of course, being Bobby Reid. What a start to the season this guy's had. And after just 1 minute in this game, less than 1 minute, he managed to take the lead for Bristol City. It was a fantastic start for them, and Birmingham early on in this game, they looked a little bit shook by that, but to be fair to them, they went ahead and responded to that. They got back into this game with a Gardner goal on the half-hour mark, and in the second half, the goal that Magoma scored, oh, it was a fantastic drive into the bottom corner. He managed to win the game for Birmingham in the 74th minute. Bristol City, I felt like, would have been a little bit disappointed with that, because they did have other opportunities in this game. I know Bobby Reid actually had a couple more chances. I think he hit the post for one of them as well, which he came very close to, and later in the game, Birmingham did have a red card, so they did have to hold on to it late on in the game. But fair play to Birmingham, they managed to turn this one around. And then for our next fixture, guys, we had Brentford, who came up against Nottingham Forest. And my oh my, we had a lot of goals being scored in this one. In the end, it finished 4-3 to Nottingham Forest. And I mean, one guy we have to talk about for this game was Bukalakis. What an unbelievable game he had. I mean, the first goal he scored in and around about the 41st minute was an absolute peach of a goal, and then in the 47th minute he went and even topped that and scored an absolutely outrageous goal. He definitely scored 2 goals which were in contention for goal of the weekend. They were both absolutely sublime, and Brentford defensively, I thought, were really quite poor in this game. Same for Forest as well, really. But Brentford, I feel like, obviously, they need to sort out the situation with Harley Dean. He was on the bench for this game, of course, with him not signing a contract or anything like that. Without Harley Dean in the Brentford defence, they do look significantly weaker, and that was evident in this game here today. They still look good going forward, but if they are going to be defending like that, teams like Forest will take full advantage. Then our next game we did have is definitely a contender for the result of the weekend. That was Cardiff City, who managed to beat Aston Villa by 3-0. This was an absolutely fantastic result for Cardiff City, and in this game actually, Cardiff only had 35% possession, but despite that, they still managed to craft out 15 chances. And to be completely honest, Sam Johnson, I thought, was Aston Villa's man of the match for this game. If it wasn't for Sam Johnson, Aston Villa's goalkeeper, in this game here today, Cardiff could have had so many more goals. So many people playing for Aston Villa in this game here today were so far below par, it was unreal. They just looked like such an ordinary team, and I've got to give a lot of credit to Cardiff in this one. Fair play to them. I know quite a few people actually were backing them to be a dark horse this season, and if they can put up more performances like that, I see no reason why not. Then into our next game with you go, we had Derby County, who came up against Wolves, and Wolves, I mean, what a start to the season it has been for Wolves. I'm sure Wolves fans will have no complaints about their start to the season. 2 wins out of 2 and 2 clean sheets as well. Things can't be going much better for Wolves at this point in time, but in terms of how this game went, I don't think Derby fans can have any complaints about this one. Wolves were quite by far actually the superior team. Some of the football Wolves were playing in this one as well was absolutely terrific. At times, some of their link-up play and interchanging passes going through midfield into attack was something else. Players linking up like Ruben Neves, Bonatini up front and Jota in midfield. It was absolutely sublime to watch. Some of the goals they're scoring at the moment are absolutely fantastic, and they look very solid at the back as well. Derby County, I was quite disappointed with. It is clear to see they still need more options going forward. They don't really have an identity going forward, really, at this point in time. Of course, they've lost Tommins, and they've not replaced him as of yet, so they're going to need to get that sorted out. But Wolves this season, it's looking like it could be top 6 for them if they carry this on. Our next game was quite an interesting encounter actually. That was Hull City, who came up against Burton Albion. Now for this one, it actually was quite a level game actually. Up until around about the 35th minute, this one was quite a level game, and then the game-changing moment in this game was definitely the sending off of Jackson Irvine. He got 2 yellow cards, and in only the 38th minute he was sent off, and then Burton Albion of course had to play with 10 men. After that, Hull City were the dominant force in this one, and Abel Hernandez really managed to go in. He got a hat-trick in this game, so fair play to Abel Hernandez. At championship level, he is a deadly striker, and Burton Albion, I felt a bit sorry for them really. Of course, it was Jackson Irvine who actually got the goal for Burton, and then was sent off quite needlessly as well. There were 2 yellow cards which could have been avoided, so he'll be disappointed with that one, because in the end it's probably cost his team. Then for our next game, we did have Leeds United, who came up against my club, Preston North End. Now the frustrating thing from a Preston fans perspective was that we had to play the last half an hour of this game with 10 men. Ben Pearson was sent off in the 60th minute for Preston, and after that the game did seem to change. Until Pearson was actually sent off, this was quite an even game, I'm not going to lie about that. Both teams seemingly had a couple of chances each, and it was quite tense, I'd say that about the game. As soon as Pearson went off, however, Leeds were the dominant force in this game really, and I've got to give a whole lot of credit for Chris Maxwell in this game. What an unbelievable performance he had. He was stopping shots left, right and centre. He made one terrific double save later on in the game, and made a fantastic save when Chris Wood was one-on-one through on goal in him, and he managed to tip it wide of the post. But Preston also had chances to go on and win the game. Josh Harrop had a good chance in the last minute where he crashed his shot against the crossbar, and overall I actually thought a point was probably the fair result. Until Pearson got sent off, I thought Preston were looking quite a dangerous side going forward. We of course had to adapt the way we were playing in the second half when Pearson did go off, and we went down to 10 men to actually grind out a result, but overall I'll take a point away. Our next game was the game taking place between the 2 promoted sides this season, Millwall and Bolton Wanderers, and in this game once again I think that Millwall may be regretting some of their missed chances. Of course they lost on the opening day of the season, quite unfairly actually, to Nottingham Forest when they had a heap load of chances. They just couldn't stick them into the back of the net. I could sense a little bit of frustration maybe going around Millwall, because they probably could have gone ahead and actually won this game against Bolton. It was Saville who gave Millwall the lead in the second half, but Bolton managed to respond with a fantastic free kick. Definitely a contender for goal of the weekend, that one. It was a fantastic free kick, but then later on in the game Millwall did have a couple of other chances to win it. They couldn't put them away, but fair play to Bolton actually. I know that they had a couple injuries going into this game, so a point away at Millwall, that's not a bad result for Bolton. Our next game featured probably the quickest red card ever. I couldn't believe how fast this one. We had Reading, who came up against Fulham, and after I think only about 28 seconds, Thomas Cass was sent off.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
So of course that left Fulham with a huge predicament going into this game, as they had to play pretty much the whole game with 10 men. So considering this one actually ended 1-1, I thought Reading would have been quite disappointed actually. It was Kelly who gave Reading the lead in the 61st minute. So as soon as Reading took the lead, it took them quite a bit of time to actually break down Fulham. Fulham defended quite well in this game, and to limit Reading to quite a few chances considering they were playing with 10 men. Reading would have been so frustrated when it was Lucas Piazon who equalled the scoring late on in the 82nd minute. In my opinion, this was a pretty massive opportunity really missed for Reading. You know, they could have responded really with a win against Fulham after their defeat on the opening day. They didn't manage to do it, and considering Fulham were down to 10 men for the whole game, a point's not a bad result for them. Our next game featured Sheffield Wednesday and Queen's Park Rangers. This one managed to finish as a 1-1 draw in the end, and Sheffield Wednesday, of course, they didn't get off to the best start this season, managing to lose to Preston, and they didn't actually get off to the best start in this game either. It was Jamie Mackey who managed to give QPR the lead after they looked to be a decent side in the first half. You know, I have given QPR a little bit of stick in the build-up to this season, but so far, they've actually pleasantly surprised me. They've actually played some very nice football, so fair play to QPR. But it was actually Sam Winnall who levelled the scoring in the 48th minute, and a bit of frustration for Sheffield Wednesday. They definitely could have gone on to win this game, actually. Jordan Rhodes had a golden opportunity. I don't know how he managed to squander it. I think it was Barry Bannon who played the ball in, and he was literally about 5 yards out, and he blazed it over the bar. I don't know how he managed to do that. He missed a golden opportunity. In the end, it finished level. It was probably a fair result. Then to the evening kickoff on Saturday, we did have Middlesbrough who came up against Sheffield United, and in terms of this game, this was actually filled with quite a bit of drama, I think it's fair to say. It was Rudy Gusted who gave Middlesbrough the lead in the 20th minute. I think Rudy Gusted could actually be a bit of a force in the Championship, actually. Just his physical presence, I think, will cause a lot of Championship defenders a lot of problems in this one. And he also could have had a couple of other goals on top of that as well. But the dramatic moment of this game definitely happened really late on, as it was in stoppage time when Sheffield United had a goal disallowed. And I don't know what it is, but something is going on with promoted teams being promoted from League One to the Championship and celebrating disallowed goals. We saw it last week with Millwall celebrating a disallowed goal at Forest, and then we saw it with this one as well. I felt a bit sorry for Sheffield United really, because their fans were really going for it. They thought they got a last minute equaliser at Middlesbrough, but it was ruled out for offside in the end. So a little bit harsh on Sheffield United, but Middlesbrough are up and running now for the season. And then the last game we do go into, we had the Sunday kickoff between Norwich and Sunderland, and fair play to Sunderland in this one, I've got to say, because in the end it managed to finish 3-1 to the away side, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit sceptical about Simon Grayson bringing in Lewis Graben into Sunderland. He's already played at the Championship a little bit before, and his record's been a little bit hit and miss, but honestly, in this Sunderland side, he really seems to have hit the ground running for them, so fair play to him. But in terms of the pick of the goals from this game, that had to go to Aidan McGeady. What a fantastic goal it was he scored from the edge of the box, rifling it into the back of the net past Angus Gunn. He stood no chance with saving that one, and it does pain me to see a little bit McGeady doing so well for another Championship club. But honestly, if Sunderland can get the best out of Aidan McGeady this season, he will be pivotal to their season, because Norwich would have been very disappointed with this one, considering as well they had 71% possession. Sunderland managed to take full advantage of that. This was a typical Simon Grayson performance, and Norwich fans, I'm sure, will be very frustrated with it. So guys, in terms of my result of the weekend, I mean, it could only be one. I'm going to give it to Cardiff for their 3-0 victory over Aston Villa. In that game, they just made Aston Villa look completely ordinary, and fair play to Cardiff, it was a terrific result. And then for my goal of the weekend, there are a number of goals I could give this one to, and I feel like there will be a bit of a debate in the comments down below, because like I said, there are a lot of different ones I could actually give this one to, but I'm going to give it to Bukalakis for, it could be his first or second, but I'm going to give it to Bukalakis for his second goal against Brentford. It was just an absolute peach of a finish, and overall it was just an absolute banger into the back of the net. So I'm going to give it to Bukalakis. Guys, let me know down below who was your result of the weekend and goal of the weekend. But now guys, we'll quickly move on to my midweek score predictions. So we're not going to do FIFA predictions for these ones, as I don't have time to do that in this video here today, but we are going to go over these midweek score predictions. So I will leave all the midweek games in the description down below, so then you guys can easily go ahead and make your midweek predictions. So I'll quickly rattle through these. So Barnsley against Forest, I'm going to go with a 3-1 away win for Forest. I think Forest going forward especially are looking quite deadly this season. Birmingham coming up against Bolton, I'm going to fancy this one to actually be a 1-1 draw. I could see these two sides cancelling each other out. We have Brentford then coming up against Bristol City. This one, I'm thinking once again we could have quite a few goals being scored in this one here today. Both of these look decent going forward, so I'm saying 2-2 for this one. Cardiff against Sheffield Sheffield United, I'm going to go with a 2-1 home victory for Cardiff. Derby coming up against Preston North End. I'm going to back Preston for this one. This is actually the first time I'm backing Preston for a victory this season, so it probably means we're going to lose. But I'm going to go with a 1-0 away win for Preston in this game. Hull coming up against Wolves. Hull had a fantastic result against Burton Albion this weekend, but was that a little bit of a false narrative as Burton were playing with 10 men for a bit of that game? Possibly. I'm going to go with a 2-1 away win for Wolves. I think they've looked great recently. Leeds against Fulham. I'm actually going to go with a 2-1 Leeds victory for that one. I feel like they'll be up for that game. Middlesbrough coming up against Burton Albion. I'm going to go with a 3-0 Middlesbrough victory in that one. Burton, of course, will be without Jackson Irvine for that game, so I feel like that could be a little bit of a negating factor. Millwall coming up against Ipswich. I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 draw. I feel like Millwall will be very good at home this season, and I've been impressed with Ipswich so far, so I'll say 1-1 for that one. Reading coming up against Aston Villa. I'm actually going to say we'll end as a 0-0 draw. That may be a bit of a shock considering Villa have recently conceded 3 goals, but I feel like they'll be a bit cautious going into this game, so I'll say 0-0 for that one. Norwich coming up against Queen's Park Rangers. I'm going to back an away win for QPR. I'll say 1-0 to QPR for that one. Norwich, they didn't look great against Sunderland. Can they turn that around come Tuesday? I'm not so sure. I've been quite impressed with QPR lately, so I'll say 1-0 QPR. And then we have Sheffield Wednesday coming up against Sunderland. And you know what? I'll go with an away win for that one. I'll say it will end 2-1 for Sunderland. I have been very impressed with Sunderland's start to the season, and Aidan McGeady especially, he'll be fired up for this game. He didn't do the best at Sheffield Wednesday, so he'll want to go there and improve a point. So guys, there are my midweek score predictions for all the games taking place in the Championship. So that, guys, will wrap it up for this video. So thank you so much for watching. So if you guys have enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you check out all of the other links in the description down below, and make sure you subscribe for regular Championship content. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.